Hello, I'm David Nichols, and I wrote The Brotherhood of Pandora. This excerpt begins right after Captain Jacob May has come from a secret meeting with Vice President Thomas Jefferson. The Vice President has asked Captain May to wage a clandestine war against the French in the Caribbean. And Captain May has gone to the Man Full of Trouble Tavern to assemble a crew. Let's get started. Jacob watched as the young barmaid worked her way back to the table. She smiled very sweetly at John and then turned to Jacob. Mr. Wilkes wants to know who it is that wishes to talk to him. And he also wants to know if you're expecting to run a bill, it will be doubtful, sir. The sir was added as an afterthought. Please tell Mr. Wilkes Jacob May wishes to speak to him. Jacob put $5 silver on the table. And I do not wish to run a bill. At the appearance of the $5 silver, the young barmaid's attitude changed dramatically. Right you are, sir. I'll tell him right away, sir. She took 2 steps from the table, turned around, and picked up Jacob's beer mug. The barman didn't fill your mug, sir. I'll just get him to top it off for you, sir. She grabbed his mug and disappeared to find Mr. Wilkes. There was an awkward moment as the 2 men sat facing one another. John decided to fill it with a comment about the mug. You see, it was just an oversight, sir. There was a loud, "What?" from the opposite end of the tavern, and an older, somewhat heavier Cyrus Wilkes quickly made his way through the crowd to where Jacob and John were sitting. Glory be, Captain May, sir. Welcome. It's a fine pleasure to see you, sir. Oh, a true pleasure indeed. Both men rose as Mr. Wilkes came to the table. Cyrus, the pleasure is mine. Cyrus, may I introduce Marine Lieutenant John Garvey. Lieutenant, this is Cyrus Wilkes, my first officer on the Raptor. John bowed and smiled. Your servant, Mr. Wilkes. I am most familiar with the exploits of Mr. Wilkes aboard the Raptor. A puzzled look flashed across Cyrus's face. I'm Eli Garvey's son, Mr. Wilkes, and he always spoke very highly of you. Yes, by God, I see it, I do. You're Eli's son, to be sure. It's like talking to a young Eli himself. Cyrus waved his arms toward the table. Gentlemen, please sit. I'm so overcome with surprise, I have forgotten my manners. Ruth, bring me a large pitcher of beer, some cheese, and bread. And be damn quick. Cyrus pulled a chair from another table and sat down. Oh, what a fine day this is. A fine day indeed. Tell me, young Garvey, how is Eli? My father died 5 years ago, Mr. Wilkes. Cyrus's excitement turned serious. Young sir, I'm saddened to hear that. I'm deeply saddened to hear that. Your father was a fine and honorable man. I had the pleasure of serving shoulder to shoulder with him. He was as brave and honorable as they come. The world's a sadder place for his passing, to be sure. Cyrus smiled. If I said it once, I said it 100 times. Eli could talk the goose out of her golden egg, and I have seen him do it. I have. Jacob and his lieutenant exchanged a look. The young barmaid carefully set a pitcher of beer and a plate with cheese and bread on the table. Drink up, gentlemen, drink up. Ruth, give these fine gentlemen anything they wish, and they are not to be charged a single penny. Not a single penny. The young woman curtsied and mumbled, "Very good, sir," and hurried away, hoping the fine gentleman wouldn't tell Mr. Wilkes of her rude behavior. "Captain May, sir, it would be my greatest pleasure to have the entire house drink to your health, and my greater pleasure to have it drunk on the house. Cyrus, you're most kind and generous, but I fear discretion is the order of the day." "Sir?" "Cyrus, it's good to see you, but I am here to request a favor." "Ah, whatever the favor, it's granted." "I need your help to discreetly raise a crew for what might best be described as an unusual independent voyage." "Ah!" Cyrus lowered his voice and glanced about. "Does this unusual voyage involve a certain amount of profit-taking?" "Yes," Jacob nodded. "It does involve profit-taking, but it also involves a great deal of risk. Cyrus, I must be honest with you. One of the risks is the noose." Cyrus smiled knowingly. He was thoroughly enjoying being in on the conspiracy. "So that level of profit-taking. What you need is men of business." "Yes, I suppose I need men of business, Cyrus. So if you could quietly and discreetly pass the word about, I would be grateful." "How soon will you be needing these men of business, and how many do you need, sir?" "We sail from Lewis in 5 months. I have young Garvey here, and I also seem to have acquired a Marine sergeant and 4 leathernecks, who appeared to have volunteered out of the blue." John smiled at the floor, careful not to let the captain see his smile. Jacob continued, "I've only learned of this unusual enterprise today, and you immediately came to mind. The tavern places you in an excellent spot to recruit a good crew." "You flatter me, Captain May. To think I was the first to come to your mind? I'm flattered indeed. Which brings me to this, if I may be so bold. As of yet, you have no first officer. So may I put my name forth as your first officer? It would be my highest honor, sir." Cyrus patted his stomach. "I know I seem a bit thick about the middle, Captain, but I can still command a crew, and I can sail a fancy circle around the best, as you well know. My days on land have not diminished that, not one bit. I give you my word of honor, sir, not one bit." As an afterthought, Cyrus added, "And I can still swing a cutlass. I'm damned if I ever miss a day's practice in the basement. I shoot my pistol behind the tavern every day. Drives Martha to distraction, sir, but I have kept my hand in. I have kept my hand in." Jacob was quite taken back by Cyrus's offer. John had to turn his face to the wall to hide his large smile from the captain. "But Cyrus, I do not understand. Martha is your wife. You took your prize money and invested in this tavern with her. You're a prosperous tavern owner. Why in God's name would you want to give that up?" "Well, sir, it's a bit different than that. It's true, I invested my prize money in the tavern, and I've asked Martha to be my wife many times, but she refuses, sir." "What?" Cyrus shook his head. "Yes, she refuses, sir." But why? You see, she inherited the tavern from her husband, Mr. Smallwood. She's a widow, as you know, and if she marries me, she loses the man full of trouble. It becomes mine. So she will not be my wife. Oh, we share the bed, not meaning to be crude, and she made me legal partner, but she will not marry me, sir. I can see marriage would be a problem for her, but we're men of the world, and what difference does a certificate of marriage make? None. You're still a prosperous tavern owner, a man of means by the look of you. What possible reason could you have for wanting to give that up? Truth is, sir, it's dull. I beg your pardon. It's dull, sir. No excitement. The same each day, dull. Cyrus, you're my friend. We have stood side by side and stared death in the eye. We've watched our friends and shipmates die horrible deaths. We have shared that, and it creates a bond. So now I must be brutally honest, and I know what I say will not leave this table. Cyrus agreed, and Jacob lowered his voice. Cyrus, this enterprise has another agenda, and to carry it out to completion will surely result in all involved hanging. To become part of this is to sign your own death warrant. I cannot stress that enough. Does that mean you'll not accept my name? You're an excellent first officer, one of the best, and it would be an honor to have you serve with me. But this is different from the Raptor. When you were first officer on the Raptor, we sailed under our country's flag. We fought for our freedom and that of our country. With this enterprise, Cyrus, we fight under no flag but our own. We will all surely hang as common criminals. I'm unclear, Captain. Is that a yes or a no? Jacob gave an exasperated laugh. I've done all in my power to dissuade you from this venture, but to no avail. So it is a yes. I do not believe I would ever find a better first officer. Jacob picked up his mug. There's nothing left to do but to drink to my first officer's long health and good fortune.